you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters and guests. Thank you for giving me an audience to preview this important topic that I have to present to decision makers next week. I hope I don't frighten you away with boredom. My topic is going to be on juvenile Chinook salmon diets, what they are eating in the lower Columbia River and estuary. Now, I also hope by the end of this speech that you find it not only interesting, but you realize that it's a relevant topic for all of us to know and care about what small fish in a river hours away from us are eating. So the Columbia River historically has been one of the globe's highest producers of Pacific salmon. And we know regionally Pacific salmon are very important. They're important economically, they're important culturally, they're important ecologically. Juvenile salmon are actually known as a keystone species, which means they're so important in their habitats that they help define the whole ecosystem that they exist in. However, since the early 1900s, the Columbia River has been changing from human growth. So there's been dams and dikes, deforestation, wetland removal that has changed the habitat that these young salmon are rearing or growing up in on their journey to the ocean. Sorry, I'm having trouble switching. So the map I'm showing right now is the study map of where we do our research. It's called the Lower Columbia River and Estuary, but from now on, I'm going to Barb.
You're not sharing your screen. We can't see your map.
Okay.
Yes, we can. I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, okay.
I can see it.
Okay. Okay, everyone can see it? Okay. So first I'm going to show the study area that we're doing. It's from the mouth of the Columbia where it meets the Pacific Ocean all the way up to Bonneville Dam. Bonneville Dam is starred. Portland is also starred for spatial context, so you know how far this is. The rest of the talk, I'll call it the estuary or the Lower Columbia, but it's this huge swath of water that is tidally influenced, meaning salt water does come up into it. Now, in the early 2000s, Bonneville Dam administrators realized that there was a need for a long-term status and trends research project to just see how salmon were doing, and in the face of changing climate regimes and water temperature regimes, to see how salmon were being influenced by these. So they gathered a group of researchers. My group is one at the University of Washington, and we've been monitoring 5 sites since 2008. We focus on Chinook, one of the Pacific salmon, because they are endangered species. They are also hugely important to a lot of different predators. For example, you've probably heard that they are famously a key prey item for orcas. They are also the most estuary dependent of the species, meaning they stay in estuaries the longest. They stay and grow and seek refuge as long as they can before they go to sea. Their growth in estuaries is directly linked to survival to adulthood, meaning if they leave early, they have much lower probabilities of surviving. So the longer they can stay and grow, the better it is for them. Our lab at the University of Washington has mainly looked at their diets, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Sorry, there's just a lag going to the next slide. First, I'm going to orient you one more time to the sites. There's a map on the left that goes from Ilwaco at the mouth of the river all the way to Franz Lake at Bonneville Dam. On the right is a plot, and what it does is it takes a huge swath of multivariate data, so what salmon have been feeding for years, all the things in their diets, by size, by site, by month, and it squishes it down into 2 dimensions on a plot. So it's easy to interpret. So the names you see listed on the plot are the top 10 things that Chinook salmon eat when they're young. Arrows show the strength of a relationship. So the longer the arrows, the more important that prey is to the diets. So as you can see, since 2008, because all the data is together, there have been 3 prey that are very important to salmon diets. And this has also been shown to be the case in other studies in other regions in the Northwest. So first, we'll start at the most freshwater site, upstream. Upstream at Franz Lake, the most important food items are dipterans or chironomids. These are wetland insects, and you see from the energy table, this is showing how nutritious these food items are to them. They're pretty nutritious. As you move downstream, they incorporate cladocerans or daphnia into their diets. These are not nutritious animals, but they are prolific, they're slow moving, they're easy to catch, they're large, they're available. So salmon eat them when better things are not available. And as you move downstream, they incorporate more saltwater tolerant species called amphipods. And these are generally pretty nutritious. The most nutritious items you see are insects that are difficult to catch. What we have found from our results is juvenile salmon are not prey limited, meaning they are filling their bellies pretty well. When their top items are not available, they search and are able to find other food. Their highest abundances are in May, meaning we don't see a trend or anything changing yet. We see little micro trends, but nothing that we've teased out that things are changing. Most fish are caught at the middle 3 sites, where all of their energy intake is comparable. Smaller fish are able to fill their bellies better proportionally to their weight than bigger fish. And then July, they have the highest energy, although by that time, most fish have left the system. So it sounds great. However, there's always a however. However, there are metabolic costs. So we all, as humans, have metabolic costs. We have to eat to maintain our body processes. Salmon do too. When they're young salmon, they have to keep growing, as we heard, or they will not survive to adulthood. So juvenile salmon, their metabolic costs are directly a function of their size and water temperature. So as they grow, they need more food. But if food is available, they can keep growing. So it's a positive cycle. However, water temperature increases their metabolic costs, and there is no advantage. So they have to eat more and more food in warm water just to maintain metabolic processes. They are also more susceptible to predation, and they are more susceptible to disease in warm water. So this plot on the right are water temperatures that show interannual variation among these top 3 sites where most salmon are found. And on the right are the top 3 months in which most salmon are found. The horizontal black dotted line is the maximum threshold the Washington Department of Ecology recommends salmon be at for fitness. So as you can see, there are alarming trends that are showing increasing water temperatures. And by the month of June, salmon are almost always at water temperatures that are not healthy and sustainable. So we know they're eating because their bellies are pretty full and we know they're getting pretty nutritious food. But are they growing? Are they eating enough just to maintain the metabolic processes that the water temperatures are making more and more difficult for them? Is it causing them to leave the system earlier? And we know if they leave the system earlier, they're smaller and they're less likely to survive to adulthood. Is there predator-prey mismatch happening where warming water temperatures are causing them to leave earlier than when their food is ready? So our group of researchers advocates for updating energy density values to reflect just species found in the Lower Columbia rather than the table that we use, which is species from all over, because we know that species have different energy values based on region, and combine that with our data to make a bioenergetics model. So bioenergetics model takes consumption and metabolism and waste, and it models growth. So we can see our salmon actually growing, and as water temperatures increase, how is that impacting their growth? So in summary, we advocate for bioenergetics model. We think it's the best way for our group to answer the question of how and if salmon are growing in the changing climate regimes. Thank you.